other than Miss Millie Jackson. And for me tonight, it's really a great pleasure to have her on Detroit Black Journal. As you know, we've had people from all walks of life, entertainers, we've had people who are business people, we've had just about everybody. But it does me really a great pleasure to have Millie, because in this day and age when everybody's talking about women's liberation, men and women and so forth, it seems to me that Millie has it sort of figured out. And I've been sitting here for the last 5 minutes wondering how I could see what she was doing after the show. So, Millie, it's good to have you on Detroit Black Journal.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Yeah. You are, or do you know this? Maybe you don't even know this. You seem to be saying what's on the minds of a lot of people, both men and women, in what you do. And that you are not just, in my opinion, not just a singer, but I mean, you sort of say what people are thinking about. Have you gotten responses to that?
Yeah. I've been known upon different occasions as the Ann Landers of the music industry. Most of my mail, the majority, at least 70% of my fan mail is, "Dear Millie, I'm going with a married man, what should I do?" You know.
Yeah.
And the funny part is they really think I can solve these problems. My shows, most people, you know, like they come backstage saying, "May I have your autograph?" My fans come backstage and says, when you made that last record, you were right on my mind. And I want to know what I can do about it, et cetera, you know. And occasionally I give advice, what I would do under the certain circumstances. And they appreciate it, I guess, going back to business.
How much fan mail do you get?
Quite a bit.
How much would you say? 50, 60,000 a day?
I don't even know, because a lot of it doesn't even reach me. Like, a lot of it goes to the record company, and if they just said, "I want a picture or something," they'll send out the pictures, and so I never get all of that, you know. But they'll send me the juicy ones. The "Dear Millie, what should I do?" Okay. I get those.
I know that for a while, and I remember back in the early 70s, first hearing about you when I was doing a DJ piece. And at that time, you were not doing as much. I mean, you might have been doing it in the stage act, but I just never noticed that it came out on record. When did it first happen that you really made that jump where you started to do the monologues?
When I did "If Loving You Is Wrong," the Caught Up album.
Right.
That was the beginning. I wanted to do it before because I was already doing it on stage, but the record company was saying, "Nah, this ain't gonna get it," you know. And finally they okayed me to do "If Loving You Is Wrong" because the producer they had hired to produce me, Brad Shapiro, came to Detroit, as a matter of fact, to see me perform, and he taped it. And he took it back and showed it to the guys at the company, and they were convinced that, okay, we'll try this one song. So we went to most shows, and I said, "Hey, we're going to do the whole album." So we did the entire album.
And it...
No, it wasn't quite that simple either. They held it for about 3 months, scared to release it.
Why was that? They just figured people would not be ready for it? Or what?
Right.
Yeah.
In fact, they weren't. But it sold because they weren't. Like, people were picketing the radio stations, and like one station in New York, due to the fact that they weren't aware of the type music that Millie Jackson's was switching over to, they put the album on, you know, and on come the dirty underwear, you know, without the bleep. And everybody would go, "Oh no," and she said the phone lit up and everybody was going, "How dare you play this music?" And people, church people had pickets around the radio station, and I was just selling the album because people saying, "What are they picketing?"
You know, I heard you on one of the local stations here on WGPR, and you know, they're noted for their continuance of playing good old down home rhythm and blues. And I was driving in the car one day, and I was saying something, and you were doing the thing about the log and the fire, and I just had to stop. And I said, "I wonder where my log is." You know, 'cause
you didn't know.
Anyway, but that kind of thing. I mean, do you get that kind of response in the audience where, I mean, people are just sort of caught cold, and so forth?
Occasionally. I was saying today, like, one thing people do not do with me is like some artists say, well, she's all right. You know, I never get one of those mediocre answers on my performance. Either they love me or they can't stand me. You know, I protest, oh, I just love it. You know, but she was never none of those.
You know, you've gotten, or some people have gained the impression that you come down hard on black men, that you really give black men a rough time.
Come down hard on everybody.
That's what I see. I mean, that's what I see. But why do you think that image comes across?
Well,
sometimes.
Maybe because, you know, people only listen to the first part of me. And then if I'm negative towards them, they turn me off. So, like when I made If Loving You Is Wrong, I was coming down on the men and they said, oh, we're not going to be, I don't want to hear that, you know. But they didn't listen long enough to know that the second half of the record I got on the women. So when I came out with All the Way Lover, I got on the women first with the soap operas, and then I gained some men friends. They said, hey, yeah, tell them about them soap operas. So now that I've gained some men friends. So I find out whoever I talk about first is the one that's going to buy the records this time.
How many records have you sold, man?
I don't know. I have 3 gold albums, 2 almost platinum. Cross my fingers and keep praying. But on the overall, I don't even know. I don't like to count it up.
But it just keeps rolling?
Yeah, it's doing better all the time, as a matter of fact.
And the rings are getting bigger and so forth?
Well, see, most of these are gifts. I only bought this, and believe it or not, I bought it here in Detroit. I was working here, and I came down at the hotel, and there was this gift shop across from the elevator. For 4 days, it looked at me and said, psst, you know. So I said, I'm not going to buy this ring.
I'm not going to say what Millie was telling me before we start doing this interview about where the suit came from. But you said somebody was staying within the corner or the gift shop.
The gift shop.
Oh, not
I said
outside.
The gift shop. No, it was the gift shop. Okay, the ring was in the gift shop, and every time you come off the elevator, it would wink at you. So I said, I got too many rings out. I'm not going to buy this ring. And the last day, I'm checking out the hotel, and it hit me. This is my last chance. So I go to the lady, and I said, I like that ring. I want it. She had sold it to someone. I panicked. I gotta have it. She got on the phone and called the lady and everything to see if she could have her another one made up and sell me the ring and everything. Because I couldn't have it. Then I really had to have it. Just because I couldn't have it. It was sold.
And
I got it.
And you got it?
Yes.
And she just
one of my favorite ones.
You know, I noticed that what you do now is what I would consider very honest. And it's the kind of thing I used to see, I know, all the time in the small black clubs, and if you still go in there, you see it. How do you find people that go to the concerts and the people who, you know, try to forget what their background is? How do they respond to what you do?
I think that's one reason that I'm not as large a concert artist as I should be, say, because the people that come to see me like to get drunk. You know, give me my bottle and I'm going to see Millie Jackson. You know, I want to hear her tell somebody off. You know, or they'll come to me and say, I brought this dude in here and I want you to tell him tell him. You know, and they really expect me to tell him. You know, and at concerts, they can't bring the bottle to some of the places, so. And they don't know me as a concert artist, and due to the fact that the discos has taken over most of the clubs, it had gotten me into a problem where I had become too large for the majority of the clubs and wasn't drawing enough people for the concert. So that's how I end up with going out last year and investing this money to do the stage show that I'm doing, so people could see another side of Millie Jackson to say, she can do something besides curse.
Tell me a little bit about that stage show. I mean, what exactly do you do?
Well, due to the fact that all of my records are segued from one song into the next one without the music ever stopping, I decided to do the same thing with the show. And since the Moments are friends of mine, and they were willing to work with me and go through all the rehearsals and everything, I hired them to do the show with me. So I hired a set designer to design me a set, and got me a choreographer and a writer, and we went to work. And the show ran from August through October when I got ready to go to Europe. And then we came back into New York and did it at Apollo for 8 days, and that was supposed to be the end of it. But somebody saw it, liked it, or heard about it or something, and now we're getting calls on the show again. But the main thing with the show is it's not one of those shows where one act goes on and then you wait half an hour for the musicians to change, and then the next act comes on, and then you wait another half an hour for the musicians to change, and then you know if you don't want to see what's on before, whoever you want to see will be on last, so you can go in at 9 or 10 o'clock and see them. This show, everybody's on from the beginning. And on and off, all through the show, I made 9 different changes in the show. Throughout the whole show, we're on and doing, and it's continuous. The only break we have in the show is we take a 10-minute intermission to change, dry off, get ready for the next set, you know, and to change some of the scenery.
So, I mean, you're really a producer. I mean, that's what you're doing. You're producing that show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that really what you want to do? I mean, people know you as Millie Jackson, the artist, and before the program we were talking about producing video spots, and that you had done a video spot and so forth. I mean, so you seem to be branching out from just singing, just being a singer.
I've been producing my own records since the first rap one, from Caught Up since '74. I did The Facts of Life. I did another artist named Eddie McCloyd, which didn't do too well. And now I'm in the process of doing an album on me and Isaac Hayes together.
Now that should be interesting. That should really be interesting. I'd like to see.
At first I was just going to do the single, and I brought it back to the record company, and they listened to it, and they says, okay, you got the money for the album. So I go in the second week in May to start the production on the album.
What kinds of things would you like to do that you haven't done up to this particular point? Or have you given that much thought, really?
Not really.
Does it just sort of happen?
Maybe one day I would like to be a comedian, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you don't think you fit?
Only to the point that I can say, okay, pack your bag and go. You know, then I don't have to be bothered with the other 41 people that I got with me now. I don't have to be sitting at the hotel pulling out my hair. Is the lights gonna make it? Is the sound gonna make it? Is the dancers gonna be here? I can just say, I'm on.
And that's it.
This is it.
And make the kind of money that Richard Pryor makes.
Yeah. Plus, you can do that much longer. You know, I can tell dirty jokes for a long time. But I mean, how long can an old lady on stage with a cane telling dirty jokes, you know?
Hey, well, Moms Mabley did a good job.
Right.
I mean, she did it.
But her things were the kids.
Right.
She played off the kids, really, by lying to the kids. That was her main thing.
The song that we segued to into Us, Seeing You Again.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the background on that?
Why would you ask that?
Well, somebody told me now. Somebody told me. I'm not going to say who. They said that Millie has a particular relationship with that song.
Millie had a particular relationship with the song. Straight in that. Had. No, really, I wrote that song because there was a guy I was going with. To be very honest. See, you ask me, I'll tell you, I'll be honest. I have nothing to hide.
Okay.
And we broke up. And he said he was finished with me, that's it, totally. I want nothing else to do with you. And I said, no, you're not. I'm saying to myself, I'm going to get you. You're not going to tell me this, you know. So I ran into him in the airport one day. I said, that's it. So I sat out and I wrote the song, you know. So sure enough, he heard the song, and I got a phone call.
That's super. Okay.
But now I changed my mind. Now I got me somebody else. That's why I say, had.
Do you, I mean, you give a lot of advice about relationships in general. Do you ever think that you will get in a situation where you will be a person who might need to take advice, or do you pretty well, you know, can you handle those situations?
Well, I usually talk to myself. I'm not going off, but see, there's two of me. I think of me as two people, Mildred and Millie. And I'm a Cancer with Leo rising, so I says Mildred is the Cancer, and the Leo is Millie. So whenever one goes off too far on the deep end, you know, the other one has to, you know, bring her back. So when Millie gets too outrageous, Mildred will say, you know, like, cool it, you know, that all isn't quite necessary, you know, so they bring her back down. And at the same time, when Mildred sits around the house and starts moping and crying and nobody loves me, Millie say, hey, can it?
Okay.
So it works for me. I analyze myself.
You mentioned something that specifically a lot of black artists are talking about today. You mentioned disco.
Uh-huh.
Now, you've seen Joe Simon.
Yeah.
You know Joe Simon made a rather drastic change.
Drastic change.
In order to
Drastic
appeal to the
change.
disco audience.
Drastic change. Yeah, uh-huh.
How have you responded to that? I mean, it seems like essentially you're doing some of the same things, but it's produced, the production value has
well,
grown.
I found that it's so hard to get a record played now that you can't dance to, till I gave in a little, you know. I said, okay, I'll give you some up-tempo stuff. I'll let you dance. But now you're getting more for your money because due to the fact that the records are faster, it means I have to talk more. So I'm rapping at a faster speed now.
But it's working out, though.
It's working. Yep, the album looks good, the new album.
You went to Kenya, I believe it was, East Africa, I was reading recently. And you were saying that the Africans responded very well to you. How exactly did you find it, really?
Well, I was the first American to ever go to Kenya to perform. So I got the royal treatment. From the time we stepped off the plane, there was the cameras and the whole works. Everything I did was on the 6 o'clock
They
news.
knew you
yes.
well there?
Yes.
Fantastic.
And for the benefit of those who don't believe I can do it, I did not curse but once in Africa. Because when I had a feeling that, you know, they have a very religious background, like Christianity.
Don't you have a religious background?
Too much. They took it very serious. And when they sent over the pictures, you know, like the ones you saw there that you were showing from the beginning, they said, could we have some more pictures? We cannot use these for promotion. So something told me then, I think I'm going to have to tone down my show a bit. So I toned my show way down. I only wore tuxedos, none of that stuff I'd like y'all to be seeing tomorrow. And the only time I cursed during the whole 4 days was the last night I did a benefit show because they were charging like 275 shillings to see Millie Jackson, which comes to $40 per person. And some of the people there only make like 50 shillings a month. Right. So, you know, that was saying I'm paying a lot of money to see. So a lot of people couldn't see me. So I did a free benefit show. And I could tell they were getting involved, you know, like the lower income Americans, you know. So I gave them one good one, you know. Just one nice little curse word in there, you know, for the record. Since it was free and I was leaving anyway.
but when you really get rolling, I mean, you don't really count them, do you? You just sort of...
Not really. No.
Just whatever comes
I really play off the audience. Whatever the audience responses is to whatever I say. You know, that's why I say when Jesse Jackson and all these other people who complain about I'm corrupting the morals of the children and all of this other things, your public will let you know when you are doing something that they don't want to hear. As long as I'm selling records, then I know I must be pleasing somebody. When my record sales dip, I know it's time to do something else. You know, like I was singing all those slow songs, record sales. Now, you know, I'm giving you some foot stomping. And the record sales are going back up, you know. So the public will let you know what they want to hear. So I figure it's not necessary for all of this other hogwash.
Let me ask you about 4 or 5 points. I mean, since it's Dear Abby, I'm going to get mine in. I mean, but
yes.
But no, I mean, it's some things seriously. What do you think about young people today?
And
just young people, about how they are, what they're doing?
I think they're great. I have a teenager at home, and knock wood, she's not as bad as some of these others I've known, but I really think a lot of the young people are in the position that they are because they have nothing to do. They are restless. You know, they have no jobs in the summer to do. Like my daughter, for example, she doesn't have to get a good job, but she's saying, I want a job, but she can't find one. And what about all the other kids that a summer job would depend upon whether they could get this or whether they could get that, and if they can't get it, you know, they're like the grown folks.
Yeah.
I don't want that, and if I can't buy it, I'm just going to take it. So that's what's happening.
Women's lib.
Women's lib. What about it?
Okay.
People always ask me about women's lib because, I guess because of my music, they think I should be marching through the streets with signs and things.
I tell you, I think exactly the opposite. I think what you say is honest, to the point, straightforward, and I don't even relate to it as any more than the truth.
Good,
on a personal
because
level.
that's all it is. As far as women libs go, I can appreciate some of the things that they're doing. I figure if a woman is doing the same job that a man is doing, then she should be paid the same money that he's getting paid if she's doing the job equally as well. At the same time, I don't plan on going to nobody's army.
I tell you, it would be fun if you were there, though. It would certainly be interesting. Men.
What about them? What you want to know about them? I love them all. Gorgeous creatures. Yes, what about men?
No, I mean, you talk a lot.
Especially black ones. Nice, chocolate ones.
I could get to that.
I mean, when I say black, I mean black. I mean, you almost didn't make it.
Oh, man. Now you know. Now you know. You know, I got to say this really, in all seriousness. This is one of the best interviews I've ever done. I really enjoyed being here with you.
Tell you didn't need no bio.
Okay. No, I'd like to find out just in general, if you plan to produce, I mean, would you like to do a thing like this? Would you like to do a show like this? I mean, I think it would really be fantastic if you were to do it.
I've tried almost anything once, you know. But see, it would depend because I like to have total control of me at all times. So if it means that if I want to go over there when somebody else says I have to be here, I probably wouldn't like this. Mm-hmm. But now if I could say, I'll do 5 of these, and then you give me a break to go do what I want and see if I can dig it out. If I commit myself to something, even though I might hate it, I'll stick it out. But that's like I had offers for a couple of plays, but I thought it would be quite boring, you know, doing the same thing every night after night after night.
This is one final thing I want to ask you. How did you manage to do that Gong Show thing? How did you ever get hooked up with that?
Well,
I mean, it came off cool.
It really wasn't a Gong Show.
Yeah.
It was the Rah Rah Show then, so it didn't last too long. So the same producer, but they were doing just regular acts then. It had nothing to do really with the Gong Show. It was a whole different show.
Yeah.
Paid good money too. Sorry, it went up.
I'd like to thank you for being on Detroit Black Journal. It's really been a pleasure, and I hope everybody comes out to see you at Sonic Temple, and it's going to be fantastic. I'm
Thank
sure.
you. I expect to see you there.
I will be there in the front
You,
row.
all of you,
Everybody. Okay. Okay.
especially you. What's that guy saying there?
There's just some guy sitting in the corner. Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. I'll see
You're
you.
quite welcome.
Okay.
I was through with you. Splitting up forever seemed the thing to do. I said I can't stand you with your honey touch. This time you were cheating me.